One day I was walking in the particular street I was going. I just parked his car and came out and lie down like this. On the road. Because I decided to go there. I didn't know how to get to come across my efforts. But Nigerians voted in the condition. I have 56%. That is how you know the success of what you are doing. Nigerians are watching. People are watching.
Welcome to another episode of the CISR podcast, where we share real stories behind African change makers, leaders, and builders of legacy. I'm your host for today, Sarah Ademo, and our guest today is one I'm particularly excited about. This is a woman whose journey, her leadership journey, has been both inspiring and transformative. She's a woman who has worn many hats as a politician, a media strategist, public servant, a mentor who has been able to impact thousands of youths. She has also led a national movement to empower over 10 million women across Africa. Dr. Aderemi Apatira is a woman whose journey has embodied what it means to live with purpose and vision. So Dr. Aderemi, we're super excited to have you. It's an honor to have you here this afternoon. For me, I've been able to get a bit of your background, but for people who are just meeting you for the first time, could you tell us a bit about, your background, your journey, what has shaped you so far to this point?
My name is Dr. Aderemi Apatira, as you've heard, and so much to say, but I'll just say that I came from a family of 9. First of the children, and the first female, the first child, and that's one of the things that shaped the way I approach life. And beyond that, I've been a professional for about a quarter of a century, more really, because I actually cut my teeth way before I even went back for my HND. I started with the then Clapperboard TV, that was a content provider for LTV8, LWT, those days in Lagos. And I've been in the media more, then agency, but my career has revolved more around the communication space. And of course, I delved into politics at some point. But most importantly, I've been passionate about policies, about making policies have human face, about making policies really relatable for people. And that's one of the things that shaped my foray into strategic research, because I found out that in Nigeria policies were failing, and I could do a lot to ensure that going forward, policies don't just fail in that massive percentage that we've always had. So that's a bit about me. I currently sit as the head of secretariat for the National Share Products Association of Nigeria, and by share I'm talking of share border, and I also interface with the Global Share Alliance, who is actually the driving body for share sustainability globally. And one very unique thing about Nigeria in that space is that Nigeria owns the largest deposit of share assets. That's the number of share trees we have in Nigeria is equal to 57% of the entire global population. And even with this advantage, we are not optimizing what we have. And the women in the locality, who are the major pickers and the initial processors, are really, really impoverished. So sitting on that seat puts me in the position to work with many of these women in states like Kebbi, Niger, Nasarawa, Adamawa, Jigawa, Kano, Kaduna, etc. And the funny thing is, we have so good land in Nigeria that share can grow anywhere in Nigeria. The only thing is the level of moisture will be different across board. And we are trying to ensure that, because we've been losing a lot of shade trees to the making of mortar and pestle, to firewood, to even charcoal making, but we are doing a lot to now domesticate so that we can plant and then, like every other tree, plant and reap from new trees, because right as it is now, you have to go into the wild to get those, to pick those fruits. But essentially, that's where I sit. I also have, I'm in the tech space. I have a fintech app called Power Plus, which is basically for energy retailing and its allied services. I also, I run a PR communication agency, and so you can say I'm a woman of many parts. I also run a strategy consulting business, so that's what I do, and that's who I am.
This is so much encompassing one person, but I want to also touch a little bit on your background and early career moving forward. Before you started broadening yourself, you gained all this experience to really, get this kind of footing. What was it like from your early career coming up to this point?
Let me start with the fact that I picked up a value from my parents, and that value is that you must work. And I started working quite early in life. I recall that my first stint in media was after I finished secondary school, like a year. Yes, I went to start A-levels, but while I was at A-levels, my dad was the one that made me to go for A-levels, so it was like going there to play for me. I really, really wanted to go to their institution. I got admission, quite right. But for him, I was just too young. I was just 15 plus, you can't go just yet, so he put me in A-level. So I was there. I out of curiosity, I got, talking to some older people, because of course at that time, most of my friends were older people. So that's how I got into clapperboard. They just took me on their wings, and particularly the person that really, really pulled me in was a man. I don't know where he is now. His name is Folabi Martins, FM we call him. And so that's how I started with clapperboard. But at some point, of course, I had to leave that. Once I got admission, I went to Lagos Polytechnic, where I did my ND. My ND, I got admission to study fine arts, but my dad would not hear anything of it. For him, no, you that know maths like this, you have to do something like accountancy. So he went to get admission. So I did accountancy diploma. Then I entered for HND, and then that's when the problem in Nigeria started. In fact, right from ND, the problems had been there. All these fuel riots under Babangida, all of those things met me in school. To the June 12th Roa met me in school. But while I was doing all of that, I was also very interested in politics. So, 1992, I cut my teeth in partisan politics. But even while I was in the school, as at the time I was in ND2, I was already Vice President 1 of the Student in Lagos Poly. And by the time I went for my HND in Yaba Tech, I was already part of the SRC of NANS. And so I went ahead from there. When SDP and NRC were created, I joined SDP, and
that's a political
party, yes, Social Democratic Party then. And I contested as a state delegate under option A4, 1992, and I was at the Ojo Congress, where our now President, His Excellency, was elected as a senator the first time. I was a part of the Ojo Congress. I was also in Jos for the National Convention, where the late MKO Abiola, God rest his soul, was also elected as the party candidate for SDP to presidency, and that's what led to 1993 election and all the things that followed. All this while I was in school, so all of the fallouts affected my spending a longer time in school, while those that were in university, of course, we normally spend like 4 years, finish their courses. Some of us, when you go to Polytechnic, you will first do diploma, then you do 1 year. So for some people, they will be unlucky like me. You end up spending 2 years after before you gain admission for HND and all of that. So in cumulation, I spent 7 years obtaining HND with all the riots and everything. But they were my formation. They were my formative, 8 years. And I thank God I took youth to school, so I wasn't too old by the time I came out. And here I was after everything and all the things that have happened. 1995, I finished HND eventually since 1988 that I started. And when it was time to go serve, fortunately, in the staying at home and all of that, I got pregnant. Okay. Yeah, my first son. I had in 1993, March. And when it was time to serve, my first posting was actually 1994. It was quite young. I was posted to Kebbi. So I deferred that I would serve the following year, and I stayed. So the following year, I recall first week of December 1995. Here I was in Abuja to come and do the validation, and then they now posted me to Niger State. I saw this posting. I want to go back to Lagos now, and this is how we started picketing in front of NYSC. Then the headquarters was in Area 3, Gariki. And so we had some of us that were having one issue or the other, and we refused to go anywhere. We said they should just give us money, let's be going home. And so we were picketing in front of NYSC. And before you know it, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20, and it was really getting messy. So NYSC looked at it, okay, camp will close, so they just pack all of us back to Boa camp. That's how we all got letter and became Abuja coppers. Okay. So that's how I found myself as a copper in Abuja, 1995 December. And while I was serving, one of the things that came to me was that my mom is the one taking care of my son. I cannot go back empty-handed. Even if I finish this service, I cannot come and go and say, come and finish feeding me again. So while I was serving, I was also doing some small trading. I will pack Zobo in my bag and go to Federal Secretariat. That Federal Secretariat was very new then. I will sell. And after some time, I just decided I would stay. Because during service here, I was not paying attention. I would go and run back. Every time, once I collect my alawi, I will run to Lagos. Then I will run back. And one of the things that stood out for me during my service here, and I'm saying this to say to people who feel that their tribe is more superior than others, was an experience I had at the Abuja airport then. I was on my way to Lagos, and I was at the airport. Of course, I was wearing my crested vest and on a jean. And somebody, of course, as a copper, and somebody walked up to me, a man, I can say, in his middle age, 40s, thereabout, and he started speaking outside. And politely I said, "I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand you. In fact, my outside is not beyond Sanu, and after that, the rest, I'm lost too." No. So I said it, and he got very angry. He was saying, that time, he just went on and on, and outside, he was switching, talking. I was just looking at him. I said, "Come on, not crying." Say, "I don't speak outside, not crying." This Abuja is for every one of us. This is where is our unity melting point. It's not a crime. And when I saw that, it wasn't relenting, which I switched to Yoruba. When when we were not doing it, it now became Tower of Babel, so for me. But that impacted me a lot. To the point that I made a promise to myself that I'm not going to speak that Hausa, and I will make it in this time. I will do well, I will flourish, and I'm not going to cut corners. And that's one of the things that is part of my formation in Abuja and in staying here.